Okie dokie, guys. Here we go. We got it. We got it.
Who's first? Who's first? I have to let you guys know Mike got the monkey, and whenever that happens, there's trouble, but we got it figured out. Thank you, Robbie, for the grace.
Yeah. Shock the monkey. You guys remember that?
Yeah.
What was that, like 1980 or something?
Yeah, but we would never shock the monkey. Hello there, K-Heads. It's good to see you. K-Heads is first.
And Robbie's second. And then we have Quintress. Hello over there from the Southwest waterfront in Washington, D.C. Good to see you. And Robbie says, armpit of Cape Cod here. You know, Robbie, that's Cape Cod is a sandbar. Do you realize it's a sandbar? It literally might not be here in generations from now. But then again, maybe nothing will be here. Or maybe it'll be a perfect golden age. Let's hope.
Yeah, yes. And right now, Jen and the Birds is out. We just want to send her some prayers. She's going through some difficult times. So let's send Jen some really good vibes that things kind of go her way. She needs she needs a love and appreciation, compassion and understanding, and don't we all at times?
You know, Quintress, I will have Cindy tell you it's true because I was just adjusting something before we came on. All of a sudden, I got a shooting pain in my head. And I got to wonder, am I tuning into your headache?
Yeah, he did. That was really weird. And then you have a migraine, but that goes along with, some of this work. So hopefully Quintress is possible while we're doing this live. Sometimes maybe that headache can go away. We can only hope.
Yeah, absolutely. And, over the years, we've taken away many, many headaches.
Hang for the dings at the end.
Yes, hang for the dings on the end. Yeah, thunderstorms. Yeah, the weather's been very, very tenuous. We had this wicked wind that just came out of nowhere. It was like one wind, one breeze that blew all our corn flat. We have some corn stalks that are like 6.5 feet tall, 7 feet tall almost. And, they got blown flat. And it literally just came out of nowhere. It felt pretty diabolical. And we got probably like an inch of rain in like 10 minutes. And then it was done.
Yeah, it was really weird. It was just really big crack, and Sita had heard something, and then all of a sudden this wind, and we went back, and oh my gosh, knocked all of our corn over. Mike had planted all this corn. It was really cool, and then yeah, and it's like it just wiped the corn down, and there was a couple pieces of fence that was wiped out, and some other plants were wiped out. It just felt, like a very naughty elemental.
Yeah, felt a little bit like a little attack. Dan, good to see you. KK's in the house. Dust Devil, fling my front door open about 3 hours ago. Isn't it wild? It really is wild.
Oh yeah, that's weird how isn't it interesting how the elements can like pinpoint certain things, like I don't know what gives it the ability to just reach in and swing a door open. It's interesting, huh?
Yep. We did a member video and a Patreon video. It was an uncomfortable one to do, but it is there on Patreon and also on YT memberships. Talking about the uncomfortable truth the world must face and overcome. Yeah, that's where we are at this point in time. These are tough times. These are not easy times. And before we get going with our focus tonight, let's just take a look at a couple of things and see how we are with quakes. There's a decent little swarm been going on in Utah. You see south of Salt Lake City. It's a little bit of a swarm. Honestly, the biggest earthquake I had seen was very small, really. 5.2 again, 5.1. 5.2. The biggest one's in Afghanistan at the moment. So relatively calm overall. Relatively calm as far as that goes. Let's take a quick look at the sun before we move on. And relatively calm. I mean, we did have one M-class flare 2 days ago, just a little bit below an X. But other than that, it's pretty calm there too. And the KP is right at 2. So that's pretty calm. And we could take a look over at the Schumann. See what's happening over at the Schumann resonance. Power 14. Something maybe starting to build. This is a little weird looking. But overall, not too crazy there either. But we will be getting crazy. Oh man, this is talking about the flooding in Mississippi. You have rivers reaching record crests at this point in time, and you have people that are just facing very, very dire situations. Again, in this day and age, we see people being rescued in boats in their front yard. This gentleman here, the Biloxi River reaching record levels. As you can see, his house, I can't imagine. I mean, you're going to have to gut the entire thing. There's going to be a problem with mold. There's a lot of houses that have problems with mold when you get down that close to the Gulf. But at the same time, it's never good for your health. And, what he was talking about here was, too, that, the flood insurance costs $750 a month for flood insurance, and then they find ways to not pay. They still find ways to not pay. $750 a month. That's just insane. And, the claims, they tend to get denied. And yet this gentleman, $742 a month just for flood insurance, he's going to rebuild because he said this is his home and this is where he wants to be.
Yeah, with the insurance, it is pretty ridiculous how they find ways to just not cover it. There's always a loophole. I feel like they run it through AI, so AI can say, oh, leave these loopholes in here, and just make it sound really good. So they probably use AI to write up the policies, which is horrible, horrible, horrible. But, a smart person would take that 700 and something a month and chuck it away into an account. So when the time does come, you have something and it's guaranteed because it's yours. Well, unless the banks crash, but you guys know what I mean. You know what I mean. And we do have some very wise family members that, do just that. They just take that insurance allowance, they put it in an account, so if they need to make home repairs, they have it, it's right there, and they don't have there's no questions. The only one they answer to is themselves, and I think that's how life should be.
Yeah, absolutely. So quite a cleanup going on over there. So after announcing that they would be Q posting today, the White House then posted an image formatted identically to Q drops of 2017 to 2022, complete with identical date stamping stylization, Q forum board branding, and numerical drop identifier, which stated that America would be the world's leader in quantum technologies, make America great again. So, again, what's really going on here? Obviously, we remember when Q was such a hot topic. And, what was it all about? Was it about the Queen, the Majesty of the Queen? What was it all about? Was it about the, again, white hats coming to save the day? Maybe the white hat ETs that are coming? Again, everybody has their ideas. But here you go. Here's an announcement today. Let's see if we bring this up.
I have the honor that John Martinez was a member of the Commerce Department at NIST, and he's a Nobel Prize winning alum, which is, if you don't think the people in the Commerce Department and in NIST are the best, I mean, here's an example. Nobel Prize winner who was part of our team. You all know that the government invested $2 billion just a couple of weeks ago in quantum to drive it forward, and Besides investing in the companies, we've also invested in fabs to build quantum for others so we can manufacture these quantum in America. Now you have Ruth Porat from Alphabet. They are doing amazing investing in building quantum. And you have Arvind right next from IBM. We invested in his fab. He's got a leading fab, so he's going to be building those chips, right? So that's that idea. And then lastly, post-quantum cryptography, right? Once you have quantum chips, we've got to protect everyone in this government, post-quantum cryptography. So NIST and the Department of Commerce is going to lead the charge to make sure all of us are protected and defended. So we know how to deal with quantum when it comes. We're going to lead in quantum, and we're going to make sure we stay safe. And these are both the things you're signing today. And that's why you have such an amazing team behind you, because you are leading the charge in quantum for America.
So, yeah, Howard Lutnick announced the United States government will be fully implementing Q, quantum computing, with $2 billion in taxpayer funding. So, again, our taxes. Once we have quantum chips, we have to protect everybody in the government to make sure all of us are protected and defended. But who's going to protect us from the government? That's the big question.
I know. What about this? Who is going to protect us from the government? You know, we've seen what happens when they come and they do stuff that, well, you know, when they say they're here to help, right?
Yeah. So, you know, again, can you imagine how disappointed people would be if Q all this time was really just about introducing quantum computing and really, i.e., the data centers and everything that we're all kind of getting riled up against now. It seems like people are rallying against the data centers, and here you go. I think I don't think things are going well for the system, for the dark control matrix. It really doesn't feel like it.
No. It's a mess. It's truly a mess. But still, they move forward. I mean, I think that's definitely something to pay attention to. They continue to move forward.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, if Q just was ultimately pointing towards quantum computing and data centers and all that, and I think people are going to be very, very disappointed overall. So as you see here, this one is into, again, crypto, Ripple, etc. POTUS just ordered a quantum computer capable of real scientific calculations within 5 years and full quantum cryptography across federal systems by 2031. So the U.S. just made quantum a national priority. The problem, that we've seen is again, I think people are starting to have a lot of doubts in regards to the crypto situation and trusting digital currency because, again, hackers, and if you do have these very, very advanced computer systems that could kind of get through any sort of firewall, what good would they be, And here you go. Well, this is the answer. Quantum computing, they're going to sell it as unhackable, impossible to crack into. But, where there's a will, there's a way. And we've seen that, the new technology of today becomes, just another old fad in the annals of history.
Indeed.
So, boy, that would be quite disappointing if that is really what it all was about. Quantum computing chips, by the way, are specialized processors that use quantum bits, qubits, to perform calculations leveraging superposition and entanglement to solve complex problems faster than classical computers. They generally operate at near absolute zero temperatures to maintain delicate quantum states and are categorized by the underlying technology used to implement qubits. Key manufacturers and their distinct approaches include Google, developed superconducting transmon chips like Willow, 105 qubits, which demonstrated significant breakthroughs in error correction and performance scaling in late 2024. Microsoft created Majorana 1, the world's first quantum chip, powered by a topological core architecture designed to integrate qubits and control electronics in a compact deployable form factor. IBM, a leader in superconducting technology, and then you have Intel, SpinQ, AWS and Caltech, Oxford Ionics. So again, everything that just kind of reeks establishment, if you know what I mean, makes me think that we're really talking about the same old, same old. What's that thing about dressing up a pig and putting lipstick on it? But
yeah, I mean, you can do it. It might be for entertainment, but that's about it.
yeah, here you have also multiple people reporting on this Israeli news channel that reported that Iran may be using electromagnetic low-frequency weapon to influence President Trump's decisions. They implant these waves into his brain. There has been a noticeable change in the president's behavior. The Russians have it. The Chinese have it. The Iranians have such devices too. Yeah, I guess that's, how they're rationalizing the perhaps not complete getting behind Netanyahu in, again, his war endeavors. Or could it be that there's resistance in there? Luke saying to Darth Vader, search your heart, whatever it was that Luke said, I know there's good still in him, search your heart, come to the light.
I don't know. We'll have to see. But, if it's that easy to have that technology take over the president, we're all basically taken over. What part of you is really you? With this kind of technology, we know it's out there. They don't hide it anymore. So how are we being driven? How are we being influenced? That's what their channeling was about the other day, is about the influences of technology. And I really want to point out how it's so important. If you are having a hard day, if you are having hard thoughts, just sit and think about it for a minute. We are all a receiver, and if you're the receiver, who is the sender? You can't just say all the thoughts are mine, but you're the listener, right? You're the receiver. So who's speaking? And we have to realize and come to grips with that the information that we could be hearing might not be for our best good, and it could be technology, especially with the amount of EMFs we're surrounded by these days.
Yeah, so Dan is saying that it turns out he's an anarchist. Yeah, anarchy again is no central government. But look at the definition of government. It comes from two words: govern, that means to control, right? And ment, which is standing for mental. So it's literally mind control. So yeah, I'm not for any sort of central mind control. I think it's a good idea if we got rid of all the mind control.
I think so. I think so. I think the only thing we should be listening to is nature. Nature. Listen to that conversation. If your plants need water, they're going to tell you. They're going to tell you, and you're going to hear it. I think that's about the safest environment that anyone could be in. And it's no wonder we all get so grounded when you go for a walk in nature. Have you ever noticed that? Where all like, your blood pressure goes down, your shoulders drop, you can take a deep breath. We need to do more of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Chinese scientists just invented 3D printing that creates objects in 0.6 of a second using only light. Ooh, this is getting fun. Researchers at Tsinghua University have developed a new method called DISH, Digital Incoherent Synthesis of Holographic Light Fields. So they can print complex millimeter scale objects almost instantly. Instead of slowly building layer by layer, The system fires thousands of precisely patterned light images from multiple angles into a still vat of liquid resin. Where the light overlaps, the resin instantly hardens into a solid 3D object. The entire process takes 0.6 of a second. Why does this matter? It's currently the fastest volumetric 3D printing method ever demonstrated, achieves extremely fine detail features thinner than a human hair. The resin stays completely still, so there's no vibration or distortion. It can work with watery, low viscosity resins, making it suitable for biological applications. The team already has printed complex structures like blood vessel-like tubes and even a tiny bust of a historical figure. The deeper implication: traditional 3D printing has always been limited by speed and the need to move either the print head or the resin. This approach removes both constraints by using light itself as the sculpture. Because it can print directly into still liquid and potentially onto living tissue, it opens new possibilities in bioprinting, medical devices, and rapid manufacturing. If the technology can be scaled beyond millimeter size, it could fundamentally change how we think about making physical objects, turning print from a slow process into something closer to instantaneous fabrication. We're moving from layer by layer to all at once. How do you think instant volumetric 3D printing like this could change medicine, manufacturing, or everyday life when it's widely available? I think it's just so sad that we live in such a world in which, again, the people that make the decisions, for the most part, they are definitely in service to themselves, according to the phraseology used in the Law of One, which we'll be touching on, and not in service to others. Because if they really were in service to the greater oneness of all things, with the technology that's just starting to be touched on, man, we could manufacture such a positive reality for everybody.
I think so, and there is nothing new under the sun. So if we look back at Tataria, thank you so much, Oneness. We appreciate that. Appreciate that support a whole lot. Looking at Tataria and the buildings, and with our current technology, the impossibility of, building those buildings, because all the photos show that there's these horse-drawn wagons and wooden wheels. Very low technology in front of these giant, monolithic, beautiful, gorgeous buildings. And this technology that we have right here, it's definitely not new. Maybe these buildings were created from the ether somehow.
Over there in the UK, by the way, Keir Starmer is stepping down. It appears that Andy Burnham will be taking over. 2001 elected member of Parliament for Lee, has held ministerial positions at the Home Office, Department of Health and Treasury. 2008 Secretary of State for Culture, Media and Sport. 2009 Secretary of State for Health. In opposition, has served as Shadow Education Secretary, Shadow Health Secretary, and Shadow Home Secretary. And then May 2017 elected as the Mayor of Greater Manchester. Again, a WEF person. And it's interesting, too, because the Polish psychic, Krzysztof Tchaikovsky, that I talk about so much, and then also Tarot by Isabella, she is another jewel. They both see that the person that replaces Keir will not last long either, and that will be generally thought to be worse, if it's at all possible. Why do we keep getting the same rehash? This is the 7th or 8th person in a 10-year period. It's because they're just replacing one puppet with another puppet, and they're puppets. The people are not happy. The people have to, get to the point where they no longer accept it. And don't just, well, hey, I guess we have no choice. We got to take another member of the few. No, get out there and, make some real change. You guys could do it.
Oh, yeah. We are doing it, too. We're going to make a difference. It might not be as widespread as we want, but we are going to make change.
Yeah, absolutely. Finally, Trump admits aliens are among us and will be revealed July 8th. Well, okay. Fascinating videos circulating across the ET disclosure community has reignited debate about one of humanity's greatest mysteries. Accordingly, Donald Trump discussed the possibility that advanced extraterrestrial craft and non-human intelligences may be real, as we know. This is part of his whole purpose. I really think that part of his whole purpose was to be the bridge to having the public comfortable with the whole concept of seeing these beings that have been in our myths and legends on TV. I mean, literally on maybe YouTube. It'll be coming through Fox News. It'll be coming through CNN. Again, you're going to be seeing. They're going to be introducing them to us. And it's a mind blower. Absolutely, it's a mind blower. But we're there. This is the paradigm that we are, going to be adjusting to.
And they were in the Oval Office, 3 or 4 pilots. These are not people that make up stories. They said, all I know, sir, is there was a round object that was going 4 times faster than my F-22, which is a very fast plane. And it wasn't, it shouldn't have been. It was round, sir. They have seen, 4 or 5 guys I've interviewed, solid people, great pilots for the U.S. Air Force, etc. They've seen things that they cannot explain. And they were in the Oval Office, 3 or 4 pilots. These are not people that make up stories. They said, all I know, sir, is there was a round object that was going 4 times faster than my F-22, which is a very fast.
Yeah, 33-second long little clip there, right? A lot of message, a lot of symbolism. It's interesting that these dates are coming out of the woodwork. We were also hearing on the 24th, right, in 2 days, that Brazilian psychic said that there's going to be some sort of mass abduction. Get this. Professor Avi Loeb talks about the existence of Nordic aliens. Avi Loeb has just been appointed head of the UAP Science Advisory Council to the White House. He's a Harvard professor. Yes, he's actually playing a very large role in UFO disclosure. Yeah, he's entertaining. By the way, I saw some people making comments in the chat room that are very accurate. Avi Loeb is an Israeli-American theoretical physicist, born in 1962 on his family's farm in Beit Hanan, Israel. He was recruited into Israel's elite Talpiot program at age 18, where he served in the IDF while completing his undergraduate and graduate studies in physics and mathematics at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, earning his PhD in 1986. Loeb maintained strong ties to Israel, having participated in research funded by the U.S. Strategic Defense Initiative during his time at Talpiot. He is a prominent public figure in Israel, frequently engaging with Israeli media and institutions like the Weizmann Institute of Science. He's authored books exploring the intersection of Jewish tradition and cosmology, including the hypothesis of an extraterrestrial Messiah. There you go, guys. That's all you need to know. That's it. That's it right there. That's everything in a nutshell. You guys see that, right?
Every time I see his last name, just Avi Loeb, I just keep thinking of earlobes. I can't get past that.
The thing is, he comes across very likable. Yet what you guys were saying about the fact that, and oneness, thank you so much. We truly appreciate you. And it's been a long time since we had a session and talked. But I hope everything is going great over there. I know you're a kindred soul that likes to be on the road. We do remember all that. But getting back to this, think about this. I mean, look at this. He is an Israeli-American theoretical physicist. We know about the merger next year, which is already underway, of the militaries of Israel and the U.S. There seems to be a little spat, between maybe 47 and Netanyahu. But, a few of the more gifted psychic intuitives feel that that's kind of contrived. As we know, there definitely could be a lot of information of that kind, male that is very, very dark going on. But think about this right here. Authored books exploring the intersection of Jewish tradition and cosmology, including the hypothesis of an extraterrestrial messiah. That only makes sense because when we talk about the Elohim in the Bible, we're talking about ultra-terrestrials. Extraterrestrials, yes, interdimensional could definitely be that aspect to it. I do think there is a lot of interdimensional activity underway, and yet, there you go. It puts it all together. Actually, I'm going to have to get one of his books to read what he's saying, because I feel like you might as well read the book, because it's going to be reading the script that gets played out before our eyes.
You have to read the things, but then you also have to have that discernment and the ability to, discern and separate the BS from what's real. We have been handed so much, and then it's called it becomes popular because the controllers want it to be popular. So that's just something that we have to live with, and we have to realize that even people that we truly look up to, whatever they tell us, they're probably getting it from another source that gets it from another source that eventually lands in our laps, and just for just as a control measure, not because it's true, but because it's to help control the masses.
Okay, let's pinch runner. I just got to update you guys because I see pinch runner said, I have a praise report for everybody today. My dog Portia went for her pre-op and surgery to remove rocks from her bladder today. I've been making several remedies over months for her. And x-ray right before surgery showed the bladder full of quail-sized stones were all gone. No surgery necessary. Miracle, miracle, miracle. Thank you so much for sharing that, pinch runner. Again, it's a beautiful thing. And we've seen miracles. Cindy and I have both seen miracles. We know of many miracles. Many miracles. I would say dozens. And this is really the age of miracles. And it's not going to be necessarily science related and technology related. No. Human potential is far beyond that.
Oh my gosh, I know. It's becoming huge, and it's wonderful, and congratulations, because we don't want to see our babies in pain. So I am so grateful for that.
Yeah, that is beautiful. But here you go, because people have said that Trump's whole purpose really is to introduce this Messiah, and extraterrestrial Messiah. That says it all. Oh, have any of you guys seen The Boys? You remember The Boys? Is that on Prime? I forget what it's on, if it was on Netflix or Prime. They're like these real nasty, horrible superheroes. Very twisted, very low life, dark entities. Actually, they are probably kind of representative of what we would call the Nibiruans, the Anunnaki that came here and used what was here to create a slave race, according to, again, the Sumerian tales. But it wasn't really, we don't see it as an upgrade. We see what they did was deactivate the vast majority of human DNA. When we look and you ask a scientist, a Western-based scientist, why is there so much quote-unquote junk DNA? It's turned off. Again, we have a second chromosome fusion, which could only be done through using techniques like CRISPR and genetic intervention.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. Yeah. There's just so much that we have to look at. I am just still so excited about Pinch Runner and your pup. I mean, that is absolutely wonderful. But things, there's just so much we don't understand and we can't see. and we get from external sources, but it's the things that manifest into our lives that have no explanation that I still love to call magic. That's great.
So when you look at, again, the Messiah, the Jewish version of the Messiah is somebody that leads in a geopolitical way. It's not about everything that Christianity it became based on, or even the original teachings of Christianity, which really, for the most part, were lost. Certainly, were basically burned wherever they were found. And again, that is really more about human potential. Again, I do believe that the real historical Yeshua was here to teach us about human potential. Whereas there's different factions out there. There's other factions that view humans just simply as, again, slaves and a resource. But I find this, Avi Loeb is in his position because he's got a big position to play. He very well, I would not be surprised to see Avi Loeb rise to much higher positions in both the U.S. and in Israel. So who is really, again, the Jewish Messiah, the Jewish concept of a Messiah? It's in the end times, at the end of the age, when somebody will lead Israel to a predominant position in the world, the dominant power, the most powerful political force. Could it literally be an extraterrestrial? A returning, what we would call Anunnaki, or a being, again, from that infamous planet Nibiru that was, again, made popular by Zecharia Sitchin. But the reality is, if Sitchin never existed, you would still have all hundreds of thousands of Sumerian tablets that do give us a consistent story and consistent information that clearly shows that humans were used as slaves to these beings that are advanced technologically.
It really feels like karmically there is something about to break. We cannot have this many beings being on this end of the crappy stick for this long without karma stepping in to do something. So I say we just keep our hearts open, we keep moving forward, we keep doing what we're doing, and it will pay off.
Yes, and I see John was making a lot of comments there, which we're going to address some of them, including, again, we've done it multiple times talking about flat Earth and all, and there is actually a little truth in both sides, the flat and the round, when you really get to it. It's all kind of there. Here you go. Aliens will arrive in the stadium where Scotland and Brazil will be playing a FIFA World Cup match on June 24th, 2026. The aliens will descend onto the field in their mothership and arrest... What? Yeah, we read that right. Yeah, some of the people involved in nasty, nasty things are going to be arrested. Now, this literally is showing time travelers coming into the stadium. It's like us. It's like us from the future, time traveling back to remove the dark power, which is actually, it is extraterrestrial. And there is an undeclared war on humans. We're really getting into the Twilight Zone, aren't we, guys?
Oh, I know. I think somebody's having a lot of fun with this because they do like to hype things up. It's a good advertisement for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just, this is very fun in some ways. It's certainly more entertaining than all the dark war that we have to look at. Representative Anna Paulina Luna, there's going to be another UFO file drop in the next week. And we have been told that these are interdimensional, not extraterrestrial. Interdimensional. You've had some people come out and make a really, strong assertion that, these are demons. They're not aliens. Yeah, they're demons. You have to realize, too, that the whole power structure of the Catholic Church, which was the most dominant power on the planet in a religious manner in the last, maybe 1,000, 2,000 years, maybe, because we don't really know for sure. We know the dates that were given, but are they really accurate? Clearly, it really, their power is based on a certain reality. And, when that reality is found to be not accurate, then the power will fall all apart. Well, it is kind of falling apart. People are moving away from organized religion. And I do think at the same time, you are finding people that are becoming way more spiritually minded. That's just the nature of things because we're shifting yugas.
I think it's so important. It's an important step for people, and it's a hard step to do too, because the information that many people receive, they trust, and they trust that they get it from people that they feel are good-hearted and pure and knowledgeable and well-read and completely educated. But we really, anytime someone is up there on a pedestal saying what is to be true, really got to step back and say, is it? And then don't just turn a blind eye, just because you want the convenience of belief. I think now is the time where we need the hard, cold truth more than ever, so that we can prepare ourselves for whatever's to come.
Wow, Pinch Runner is outdoing us. We have 3 pups and they have 6. Wow. Yeah, Sky's active over Asheville. So this is Diana and Ron, Luna, Snicker. Yeah, I mean, just think about that. Here is one of the people that is making it known to us about the ETs. Her last name is Luna. Do you think that that's not planned? It feels almost Austin Powers-ish when you really look at it.
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
Because Moon is a base anyway, right? It is a base, Again, it's just, there's so much coming out right now. This is Cape Cod, Robbie. Did you see this one? Another orb here. This is over the Cape. This was just 2 days ago. And, the question is, too, I mean, how many of them literally are coming out of the ocean? That's a good point. A lot of them could be coming out of the ocean. How big really is the ocean? We've gotten that the Earth is much bigger than they tell us, and that there are lands that we're not able to get to. For dimensional reasons, frequency, we have been quarantined. We do feel that we have been quarantined here on our section of the Earth.
And that's what I think. I think we're just sort of tucked away for now.
We are tucked away. But I think that's changing too. So, there's so many UFO reports, and this right here, all humans are hybrids. Yeah, absolutely. It happened 60 to 80,000 years ago. This is what their opinion is. When Homo sapiens sapiens DNA was altered, when the second chromosome was formed from the fusion of 2 ancestral ape chromosomes. Who did the fusing? Yes. Who did the fusing? Well, we know it's Enki, right?
As you said, Josh O'Connor at one point says 8 billion people have the right to know the truth. Did you know that in the first trailer that came out, the line in the trailer was 7 billion people have the right to know the truth?
Yeah, so they get into this. When they did the trailer, the first trailer said 7 billion people need to know the truth or deserve to know the truth. Oh, you should see the deers playing. They're adorable. They're running around the front yard chasing each other. And then in the movie, it's 8 billion. Now, supposedly, our population, I think at the moment, is a little bit over 8 billion. So why did they say 7 billion? What they're getting to is, does that mean that 1 billion are not human? Are they trying to tell us that 1 billion are not human?
And when they say not human, I mean, really define that. I don't think any of us are pure human, whatever that is. I think we're all hybrids to a degree. We come from the cosmos. So no matter how you cut that pie up, we're all mutts in many ways. However, I do believe that DNA, wherever the soul lands, that DNA has different abilities. Different chakras do different things, and you might have control over certain chakras depending on your true DNA lineage of the cosmos. So I think all of that hopefully is going to be it's going to be looked at. And I also think that there's going to be a new type of 23andMe come out after the disclosure. There's going to be, check your alien DNA. I mean, I see it. I see that clear as day, like neon signs where check your alien DNA. They're going to be tracking people that way. So, even though they're going to relinquish some information, I do still see them wanting to track the masses, but under a different title. So I still don't trust the controllers, no matter how much they admit.
Oh, and Pinch Runner, every one of my pinchers is a rescue. That's beautiful.
Aww, we have one.
That is beautiful. That's wonderful. Yeah, we our Sassy is basically a rescue, and my
Sorta.
and Sita too. Well, yeah, because I literally felt
We weren't going to get another
we
one,
weren't going to get. We were just going to get one.
and the other people didn't want her.
But yeah, somebody else didn't want her, so we took her, and it's worked out beautifully because they are pretty inseparable, really. Again, you could tell somebody by how they react to their pets, which are their family, and it's just anybody that animals don't like, you should be very cautious about. I think animals are great judges.
Oh my gosh, they're wonderful, wonderful judges, especially, the Dobermans. Sita, she can really read a room, but I think she does get confused about, what's an attachment and what's not. And she sees human energy, and sometimes it can confuse her. So she has to be around people for a while to get really, really, really used to them. And she has to learn to trust them. But especially Dobermans. I mean, it's so sad to see Dobermans dumped. They're not easy dogs. They are absolutely not easy dogs, but they are the most rewarding angels that I've ever had. And I love them so much. I call them my dragons. They're my dragons. So sometimes I have to put off phone calls because I tell people, I said, oh, sorry, I have to feed my dragons, because Sita won't take anything short. I mean, if it's past 11:30, she's letting me know. So I got to feed my dragons.
Yes, absolutely. Max says people's pets usually come to me. That was the case with my dad. His energy was so calm and so peaceful and quiet that the animals would always prefer to sit on his lap. This is Mauro Bellino's official channel, and he was a Vatican translator. And Mauro, I believe, it's only what Cindy and I have picked up, it feels like he's suffering from a degenerative disease that very well may be some sort of attack. That's what it feels like. Again, when we will understand, when we're out of the body and see the bigger picture, we'll understand how often, truly, there were invisible entities screwing with our reality and sometimes literally attacking us. It is really the case. This one, he's talking about Baal, the forbidden Lord. And again, he is here talking about how Baal it just means Lord. It just means, the person that is control of the land, the owner of the land. Like, go back to feudal times when the peasants didn't own anything, kind of like now. The only difference is they do it with taxation as opposed to outright, usury and just, ordering people around at will. And, we understand things really haven't changed too much, but the Lord of the land. But he did have another name, and this is, you're talking about the Canaanite Baal, and was also probably known as Adad or Hadad. And they wouldn't pronounce it because they were afraid to pronounce it. why was all this mysticism? Why do you not pronounce certain names? Because these entities want to maintain their anonymity in many ways. They have egos, yet at the same time, they don't want people understanding who they really, really are. And also in the occult, when you understand how magic works with a K, the real magic, if you have the name of an entity, you could call it. You could pick up that phone anytime and dial it in. In fact, again, we are unusual in that they've short-circuited our energy bodies, they've calcified our pineal glands, and humans are operating with less senses than we should. You can see there's not a lot of sense in this world. That's pretty obvious. But at the same time, nature is awakening us. The genes are coming back on. The light that's coming from the sun is triggering this. This gnosis, which is experiential. It's knowing, it's knowledge that is because you've experienced something. When you experience something, as much as somebody else wants to tell you that you're wrong and that you don't know something is not right, you've experienced it, because you've experienced it firsthand yourself, that experiential gnosis. The Gnostics were persecuted because they were telling people, go within. You don't need a central authority. You don't need any priest. You don't need temples. You don't need anything. That doesn't serve to create good, faithful slaves. It doesn't promote fear. Just like if people realize that you don't just, live once, you have many lives. You experience life from many different viewpoints by the use of different vehicles. The body is a vehicle. No, there's no power in that. There's no control in that. That frees humans too much. So they had to do just the exact opposite. I'm reading a book, which I got from Goodwill, I think, in Seattle. And I love ordering used books, especially like from Goodwills and stuff like that. Not because it's like $3 for a $30 book, but because like this one happened to be signed by a relatively famous person. So that was really cool. It was a nice little bonus. But it's all about how science has made everything mechanistic. And they've missed the boat because it's consciousness that brings about the material universe from a higher dimension. It's not the physical interaction and the chemical reactions going on in bodies that brings about consciousness. They have it exactly inverse, upside down, inside out. And that's really the reality that we've been faced in this world.
Right. The electric nature of the universe and, raising your voltage and how important it is to have that voltage moving through your body. Sound healing, frequency healing, red light therapy, oxygen, all of these different healing modalities are so important. Getting the body alkaline, diet, all the things that people really, really snubbed because they weren't popular. They just were not popular. So people were afraid of them. People are afraid of what they don't understand. They're definitely afraid of what they cannot see. So if someone, is doing a Reiki healing or pranic healing, whatever kind of healing, if somebody can't actually see it, if it's not within their confines of scientific knowledge as they know it, they're going to be afraid of it, as they should. But, it's really good to go out and explore and find things out for yourself. Don't be afraid of it just because it sounds funny or it goes against some religion. Because, well, maybe that religion or that thing is just trying to control you. I think anything that has fear as a motivator really needs to be put into question.
Absolutely. Yeah, because the opposite of fear is what? What's the opposite of fear? I think love is the opposite of fear because love is expanding and it's all embracing. And it's also empathetic, and it comes from the core of our soul. Now, Morrow also came up with this. The Nephilim in the Bible are from the Orion constellation. This is Mauro Bellino, the Italian biblical translator, author, and researcher best known for his work translating ancient Hebrew texts. For the Edizioni San Paolo, one of Italy's leading Catholic publishers under the authority of the Holy See, after spending years working directly with the original Masoretic Hebrew scriptures, Morrow began publicly arguing that many of the traditional theological interpretations were not supported by the literal text itself. His research led him to propose a highly controversial thesis that the Bible may not describe interactions with a singular, all-powerful spiritual God, but rather encounters between humanity and a group of physical beings referred to as the Elohim, which in reality is the Anunnaki from, again, the Sumerian, Babylonian, Akkadian tales. The ideas sparked intense debate and transformed Bellino into one of the most discussed and controversial figures in modern biblical research. So this is Jay Anderson, Project Unity's interview with Morrow. Boy, I would love to have Morrow on. But we're small, so we don't typically get to have somebody like Morrow on. But think about it. It literally, what he gets is that it's a reference to Orion. When you're talking about Nephilim, it's literally talking about where these beings come from, which is in Orion. And, for me, when he said that, oh, man, that makes so much sense.
I think so too.
Think about this. Again, the law of one, and I'll preface this by saying that I've watched probably 20, 30 hours of Morrow, I would say. I've read a couple of his books. We have like 2 or 3 of his books. I agree with over 90% of what he says. I do. Most of it, the vast majority, I do agree with. And the law of one, the raw material, I'd say most of it I agree with too. More that I agree with than disagree with. Maybe, there's a few other things there. But, the basic concept of service to others or service to self, I think, is a good one. And when they talk about the dark matrix that was installed on planet Earth, it was due to the Orion group. The Orion group are the ones that came and gave us the dark matrix. So here he's saying that Orion group is the ones that we interpret as the Nephilim, the giants, the merged human hybrids. And, again, what is human when you really get down to it? Because, again, the human body, there's many different human species. And in the Rig Veda, I've brought this up before in the past. It's been a while. So I think, again, people would be well served. If you've never gone into the Hindu scriptures, go into them. I mean, my gosh, there's so much info there. It's just right out there. It's very clear. It's easy to see. They talk about the wars of the gods. They talk about mechanical ships. They talk about plasma ships. They talk about beings from different realms. They talk about beings from different dimensions as well as different planets. Again, space is, in our opinion, space is not a vacuum. It's literally an ocean teeming with life.
Mm-hmm. I love that. It's the life, and all of this is going to be brought to the forefront for so many others. And I think that's the exciting part, knowing that, our loved ones are going to be able to see it too. And they need to, I'm sure there's people out there that are perfectly happy working a 9 to 5, but there is something empty and hollow about being out there, in the rat race and just doing the 9 to 5, clock in, clock out, go home, sleep, get up, shower, eat, go back to work, work, clock in, clock out, go home, eat, go to sleep, shower, go back to work. I mean, people by now have really, if they have the energy, have got to be wondering, what else is there? And pretty soon that's going to make itself known for the masses. And I think that's a good thing. I think it's a good thing. It might scare some people, but we've got to get out of our comfort zone to make anything change.
Yeah, and I see that they're trying to debunk some of the stuff that's in the Vedas there. Again, it talks about many different species of beings. It talks about the fact that a lot of these beings that we take to be gods, they just come from other places, other planets, other realities. In fact, it gives you so many different names of different species that are all intelligent, and most of them are operating craft that are capable of travel off of this reality to other places. But it also, in spots, it does allude to the fact that there's inner Earth civilizations. There's beings that live, again, under the ocean. And human beings, the human form, is a very common form. That's just the reality. There's this 2 arms, 2 legs, a head. There's avian beings like that. There are beings that we would call fish type beings. There's reptilian. There's so many different species. There's all different sized giants out there as well. They're not all the negative inclined ones that, again, thinking of Lovelock Cave and the tale of the Cain and Abel giants, if you know what I mean. They're not all like that. No. There's also giants that were, oh, that's so cute. There's 2 deer literally giving kisses right in front of us, in front of the window. I don't know if you could get a photo. That'd be cool. Yeah, there's so many different species, so many different beings, and we got some really cool information we'll share in an upcoming video that was channeled information literally from some Native American beings that lived in our area that we literally have caught on camera and shown you guys videos of these shadowy beings, what their explanation of some of the giants were. Because not all the giants were bad. And, that's one thing to get across. When you look to the ancient maps that show Patagonia, these giants down there were always depicted as friendly, literally accommodating, and even giving things to the travelers as they greeted them from Europe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there's a lot of stories that are going to be coming up there. It's going to be quite exciting. I think we're going to be able to read our DNA to a much higher level, because that's one of the things that was cut out when all of our junk DNA was deemed junk DNA. It was just sleeping. But there is one thing that they cannot control. They cannot control the awakening, because that's more of a nature thing that's going to be happening, is that DNA is going to be turned back on, just like flowers bloom, just like fruit ripens, just like butterflies come out of their cocoon. It's nature. They can't stop it.
No, and lots of great discussions. Chris was saying space is too big to get anywhere quickly, even at light speed. Well, when you're out of body, there's no need. You don't have to. If you're talking about taking your body, that's one thing. But all you need to do is think about somebody, think about some place, and astrally, you could be there instantaneously. And then we also have the whole thing with wormholes. And wormholes, portals are very, very real. There's a lot about that, too, that's coming out at this point in time. And there's still so much more to come.
There's a lot more to come, and I think that's the exciting thing. That's the thing that we have to look forward to. Things are going to change. They are going to change, and I think information is going to change that. And what comes up and out of us is also going to change what's going to come. I think we just keep our chins up. We keep moving forward, and we keep doing the very best we can every single day. Just do the best you can with what you've got. Don't need a lot of money to do good. You just do good. And that frequency, when you love your pets, and Pinch Runner, you love on your dogs, and you guys love on your babies, and Robbie, when you love on your guineas, it helps. That moment of the heart expressing itself is the most important thing. This is what we have to move up in frequency. We have those little heartbeats, those moments of intention, where we exercise that heart chakra. Those are all the things that are going to make a difference in a world that is so crazy right now.
Yeah. So, yeah, fold that space. Ariane Shu, I agree. Fold that space. Portals happen. We agree. Diana brought up Judicala. Judicala is a legendary giant over in the greater Asheville area. I've been to those areas several times and felt the energies, and I could definitely feel them down by Judicala Rock. The thing that hit me even more than Judicala, his energy, I feel his energy more over at the Devil's Courthouse area, was the little people. The elemental energy is so strong over there. Lots of portals over there as well. So portals do definitely happen. This is, again, the Orion group. Think about this. So if what we have when it talks about the Nephilim, and our guides have given us information about the Nephilim and the giants and the situation on Earth, what had happened was really just like you can imagine what's going on now. When you see some of these sightings of these weird things like the Montauk Monster and the Lizard Man down there in South Carolina, close to Columbia, there was sightings of a lizard man being there. There's a lot of experiments that they're always doing. These beings are geneticists. I mean, this is their business, is they create races for different purposes. You know, they create races for all sorts of different things, including things that are very unpleasant. This is who they are. This is what they do. So in the past, yeah, there were all sorts of hybrids, and the Earth was going totally out of control. And even now, when you think about it, we are going to want to shift into a more positive reality. When you look at what the dark side has done, they've tried to create as many vessels for their frequency beings of their frequency to occupy, to control this reality. And what are they trying to do? They're trying to eliminate the vessels of higher frequency beings that would be available to them when they incarnate. Because again, what limits us? It's really, it depends on available vessels, you know, and this is also where population as a whole is monitored by many different beings, and different beings have different thoughts on what certain species population should be according to, you know, what they have planned.
I agree.
So, gosh, there was another tangent I wanted to go off on this. When you think about the desire to control a narrative, okay, well, let's just go back to this. Okay, we were talking about the 7 billion or the 8 billion. That means there might be 1 billion people that are not what they look like or what they're supposed to be. What if there was a program underway continually to eliminate the availability of vehicles for benevolent beings to come into Earth? And, you know, suitable, benevolent, high-frequency bloodlines were being eradicated in favor of, you know, certain bloodlines that are going to enable certain lower 4D beings to come and take a physical form.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a something that is a fair thought.
Yeah, absolutely. That is part of the picture I think most people don't realize. But if Earth is to go up to a much higher frequency, what is going to happen to those beings that maybe are manufactured? You know, the 1 billion that's not part of the 7 billion humans, but something else. We talk about NPCs. What would literally happen to the NPCs? Or what would happen if the NPCs bred uncontrollably? And, you know, again, shifted the whole paradigm. Like what happens to a body when cancer takes over? The body kind of dies, you know, to that reality.
Well, yeah, I mean, when you look at parasites, they feed uncontrollably, you know, up and until the host dies. So our choices are go up, or move up. Those are our choices. You move up or you don't, or you stay with the parasites. But when it comes to NPCs, what I believe about them, they're just people out there, and they don't question anything. They don't ask any questions. They don't they don't wonder. They just kind of go along life day to day, and they hold up the matrix, and that's all it is. That's all they are. That's their job. Their job is to just uphold the matrix and not ask any questions. And they can go through awakenings just as easily as anyone. But there's a lot of those NPCs out there that are just kind of doing the day-to-day thing and walking through the matrix, and doing everything that they were told to do in school. And I think that right there, is kind of like our problem. But we treat this world just like like it has a parasitic infection, and the only thing that's gonna help it is something that doesn't look too pretty. Because what does it look like when you have a flu and you have to purge? Boy, you purge. It comes out every orifice of your body just to get rid of that nasty, nasty bug, that nasty parasite. And it's a hell of a fight. But after you do get rid of that parasite, boy, does it feel good. Like a new day is dawning. It's like your eyes are open for the first time. You can see colors again. You're happy again. You get your heart back. You get your mind back. You get your life back. You make your own decisions. So to me, it's worth the fight that we're going through right now. It's always worth the fight.
Yeah, absolutely. So, again, the Nephilim being that which we would call the Orion group, in the Law of One, again, the ones that came here, again, Anunnaki, the Nibiruans, so to speak. As you see the different constellations, interesting here, Orion, the glorious one, light breaking forth in the Redeemer. Interesting when you look at it. Auriga, the shepherd. Yeah, again, these myths, they retell themselves in many, many ways. When we look to Quetzalcoatl and, again, who were these beings that gave us this society, and so many of them being described as being reptilian humanoid? Not all of them, but definitely some. There is a reality here. And I do think that we are lucky enough, depending on how you look at it, that we're going to literally see some of these different beings in our lifetime. Anyway, look at it. That is kind of exciting.
Yeah, I agree. It's exciting.
It is. And Japan, by the way, the Japanese government doing their UFO disclosure. Other governments are too. They are moving forth. Again, we saw different UAPs in Fukushima. Remember, when you look at, it's fascinating. When you look at the big historical catastrophes that the world has had, you'll find, if you look close enough, that there's always UFOs, UAPs there, watching, monitoring. Could some of them literally be us from the future, going back and doing a history trip, doing a little time travel? And then maybe some also are watching us and just waiting for us to be developed enough and show enough spiritual maturity that it's safe to just come straight out and come and say hi. Maybe have dinner.
I think dinner sounds good.
Yeah, let's just be very, very clear about what's on the menu and what's not.
To serve man.
Right? Bob Lazar said there's an extremely classified document on religion and that Yeshua Jesus was supposedly genetically engineered. Lazar said he once read an extremely classified report that described humans as containers. Well, human bodies are containers of what? Souls. Yeah, of course. Again, it's a vehicle. But he said the document that he saw claimed Jesus and two other beings were genetically engineered and implanted on Earth during biblical times. Their births closely monitored. He even connects this to a biblical star that followed Mary's suggestion. It could have been described the way many UFOs would describe. Yeah, absolutely. And so ask yourself, do you expect a second coming? Is the second coming of what? Is it a second coming of a Nephilim, which means somebody from the Orion group?
You know, you gotta ask. You gotta ask the question. It does all sound very, very suspicious.
It is very suspicious. And we were talking about Orion and light bearer, light bringer. Then you have Lucifer, light bearer, light bringer. But light is knowledge. And literally, that type of knowledge from a Gnostic point of view is experiential, which is something, again, that's beyond just logic. Oh, they've hidden what lies beyond the ice wall. Look at this image closely. This isn't some wild theory. This is what some ancient maps show. And it was interesting because when Cindy was remote viewing the bigger Earth, what she got was pretty much like this. We're kind of in a bubble. And it said that there's a dome over us. But what we also see is that the rest of the planet is kind of pear-shaped and much bigger. And we might not be the only dome here on Earth.
Well, there's different frequencies. So the way I was shown and the way it was described to me is that Earth is very much like a radio, and there are several different stations. And here we are on the 3D station, and this is what we broadcast, and this is what we are allowed to be in. But when we change our frequency, then we can go to the other worlds that are out there.
Yeah, so new worlds will literally be opening up for us. Red light therapy for 12 minutes twice a week reversed all signs of aging and disease in a clinical study using 620 nanometer red light. Yeah, I mean, we're in a golden age. Without the technology, we're still, if we make it through this bumpy period right here with the crazy psychopaths, we're still going to see a heightened lifespan, increased human potential. I mean, again, all the myths and legends, like look to Thor. Humans have that type of potential to literally, again, manufacture a positive reality on the planet. And then the potential for all sorts of really cool technology that really will be life extending. It's just a matter of who. Do you guys still have us? Can you still see us?
You guys still see us okay?
Okay, I hope.
Okay, we got it. I think we're okay, but
Okay,
it does look a little funny there. Does it look like that?
I don't
Oh,
know.
maybe it's me.
Yeah, it's you. Okay.
Okay, just me. Sorry.
So, I think there's so many technologies, light and sound, frequency and vibration. That's where the biggest gains are going to be made. Because as Tesla said, that is where the secrets of the universe, the mysteries of the universe get solved.
I think so. That's super true.
And scientists revive a plant that existed in the Ice Age 32,000 years ago. Yeah, and nothing really ever goes anywhere. Anything that ever was can come back. I do think, again, there's many different timelines. There's all sorts of alternate realities. Timeline jumping is something I think that we are doing all the time, perhaps with most people not even realizing it.
You know, I think that's the thing. We just haven't been taught. We do it all the time, but we've just been taught within this, this scientific box that we've been put in since we are children. We're told what certain colors are. We're told what certain measurements are. We are told, how to think, how to feel. We are just told everything. We're told everything. What about all the things that we're not told? They still happen. They still go on. They're going on between the lines. They're happening every day in between each breath. We're probably walking by portals and walking by ancestors. And here we have just a little flippant thought, I wonder what my great grandma was like. And she's standing right next to you, trying to scream in your ear, saying, I'm right here and I'm trying to help you with your family. Would you please sit down and get grounded and let me help you? This has been going on the whole time. We've just been told it wasn't, or we've been taught out of it.
Yes, absolutely. So Cindy's going to give us some dings. We want to thank you guys again for all your support. We couldn't do it without you guys. It's just a wild time, and I think on the whole, even though it is a bumpy ride, I think a lot of people are awakening, and we will shift the paradigm to an ever more positive timeline.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do that. Why? Because we can. And why? Well, there's nobody telling us that we can't unless we want them to. And I don't want to listen to the controllers anymore. So I'm going to make Cindy's world. I want a funner world. I want a world where there's portals and I can go see my friends when I feel like it. I want a better world for my grandchildren, for my children. It's been very, very unfair to so many lineages out there, to so many different peoples out there. It's been very unfair. So let's make it change. Let's make a difference, and let's do all of our dings today. I don't really have any updates, but please continue to keep those in your prayers, Carrie, Lori, and Steve, and anyone else in your family that might need prayer or might need just some love, uh, and our family members too, and our evolutionary energy or its family members. If you guys are struggling, we got you. We got your back, and these dings are definitely for you. It's to help you pull through all the hard times, pull through all the hard things, and it's to open up new doors, open up new opportunities. We just have to be willing to walk through them. Here we go.
Loka samasta sukhi no bhavantu. May all beings everywhere be happy and free, and may my own thoughts, words, acts, and deeds contribute to the happiness and freedom of all. Couldn't do it without you guys. Much love, source bless, and namaste.
Namaste.